midweek update time, and we are making a couple of upgrades from yesterday's build based on matchup edges and fresh context. We are pivoting at quarterback to Josh Allen at 7,000 with a dash rank of 100. He draws the Jets, who have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 29. Allen averages 24 fantasy points per game, is projected for 21, and he posted 24 and 25 in two of his last three. That projection is reliable given his full season workload as a long-time starter. The why is twofold. We are buying the gap between his season-long production and the modest projection in a highly favorable overall matchup, and we like the bounce-back narrative after he pushed a late surge in that 13-12 loss to the Eagles, as reported by multiple outlets. Essentially, sports also highlighted Kurt Warner's take on the Bills' Super Bowl hopes after a costly mistake, which only reinforces the urgency and ceiling we want to capture in DFS. We are leaving Chris Oladokun in our value pool at 4,500 for large field tournaments. Vegas aside, the Raiders have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall with an opponent rank of 18. He's projected for 13, and he's going to be about 4.7% owned. The why is simple. Extreme salary relief and playable recent form with 8 and 5 fantasy points, plus reports saying he looked good in his first NFL start. He opens paths to pay up at premium RB and TE without punting the entire lineup. At running back, we are shifting our top spot from James Cook yesterday to Saquon Barkley at 7,200 with a dash rank of 100. Washington have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 31. Saquon averages 15 fantasy points per game and has recent outputs of 7, 24, and 17, with a low 1.5% projected ownership that makes him an under-the-radar tournament play. Two news angles support this. Incentive chatter for Week 18 per, essentially, sports can translate to usage prioritization, and earlier reporting noted Philadelphia with A.J. Brown and Barkley decimating Washington's defense. We are leaning into a favorable overall matchup, low ownership leverage, and a salary that fits balanced builds. At wide receiver, we are moving off the premium spend from yesterday and locking George Pickens at 7,200 with a dash rank of 100. The Giants have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 28. Pickens averages 19 fantasy points per game with recent 12, 29, and 6 and projects for about 9.4% ownership. The why is ceiling and matchup. He has demonstrated spike weeks. Dallas is playing for pride, and team outlets have highlighted franchise marks involving Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Pickens, signaling sustained downfield usage. Media criticism has also touched on his volatility, which keeps ownership in check and makes him a sharp GPP play in this spot. Tight end is our biggest upgrade. Trey McBride at 7,500 with a dash rank of 100. The Rams have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall with an opponent rank of 13, but McBride's role transcends matchup. He averages 19 fantasy points per game and just posted 24 and 40 in two of his last three with about 9.2% ownership. The why is role and historic volume. Per reports, McBride set the NFL record for most receptions by a tight end in a season at 1-17, which confirms elite target share and red zone equity. We are comfortable paying up because his usage is more WR1 than traditional tight end. We are keeping Dallas Goedert at $4,000 in our value pool. Washington have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 31. Goedert averages 13 fantasy points per game, with 10, 12, and 25 recently, and he's about 3.7% owned. The why remains unchanged from yesterday. Salary-friendly access to a concentrated passing attack that PFF ranked number 1 heading into camp, and the overall matchup boosts touchdown odds. If you need savings at TE, Goedert remains a strong play. For the flex, We like Tyrone Tracy Jr. at 5,500 with a dash rank of 100. Dallas have the absolute worst defense overall with an opponent rank of 32. Tracy averages 9 fantasy points per game with recent 7, 10, and 25, and he's showing 0% projected ownership. The why is leverage and role versatility. He brings speed and receiving chops as highlighted in recent coverage, and the absolute worst overall matchup rating for Dallas makes him a strong, mid-range differentiator in game environments that can pop. On defense, we are sliding from yesterday's higher-priced look to the Patriots at 3,900 with a dash rank of 100. Miami have one of the worst defenses overall with an opponent rank of 23, and New England's recent outputs of 7, 5, and -2 reflect typical defensive variance that we embrace in tournaments. The why is ownership and price. At around 2.8%, the Pats provide sack and turnover paths without premium spend, and they correlate with our willingness to pay up elsewhere. If you need salary relief at defense, the Saints at 2,500 are firmly in play. Atlanta have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall with an opponent rank of 19, and New Orleans projects for 7 points at only about 0.9% ownership. The why is pure value. Even a modest pressure game can pay off this salary and unlock a McBride or Barkley build. Quick recap with the why behind each move from yesterday's video. We upgraded to Josh Allen for the favorable overall matchup and reliable projection, backed by reported late-game form versus the Eagles. We replaced James Cook with Saquon Barkley to exploit Washington's one of the worst overall defense, low ownership, and incentive-driven usage buzz. We shifted from a top-end WR to George Pickens for a ceiling at lower ownership against one of the worst overall defenses. We elevated Trey McBride to the top at tight end because record-setting target volume trumps a middle-of-the-pack overall matchup, and we adjusted defense to the Patriots for ownership and price while keeping the Saints as a salary punt. Value QB Chris Oladokun and value TE Dallas Goedert remain in our pool for lineup builds that prioritize ceiling at RB and TE.